Thank you very much. I'd like to call to order the Senate Finance Committee, and I don't know that we need to organize formally. For those of you that have been interested and were here earlier this morning, the Health and Human Resources Subcommittee convened for purposes of reviewing a number of the members' budget amendments. Senator Hanger presided over that subcommittee as the chairman of that, and I'm going to invite Senator Hanger to give a brief overview of the actions of that subcommittee for the members that were not there. Senator Hanger?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Quite a number of the amendments that were offered by individual members, and as Senator Norman and I referred to them as suggestions, because we're kind of in more of an informal process rather than the standard vetting process we would have in a regular session. We're pretty constructive. I thought we had, and many of you all were in attendance, I thought we had a good conversation because of the focus, of course, on potential Medicaid expansion and some of the ramifications of that in our current system. A lot of the amendments that I view as very credible and things that we should have on the table were offered in the area of HHR. And I'll just quickly run down through a tick list, just kind of a summary fashion here. Senator Barker offered a proposed amendment which would have language creating a work group of Joint Subcommittee for Health and Human Resources Oversight to basically examine trends in individual insurance market and evaluate options available to the state for stabilizing the market. Conceptually, we agreed with that, and we're going to try to work up some language to move that forward. I think we are in agreement on the subcommittee, and I expect in this broader committee, that the states are somewhat at a disadvantage right now because of the actions and inactions at the federal level, which have had some intended, some non-intended consequences of destabilizing the market. And I know from the politics of it, there are some that's what they want to do. They want to destabilize the market, let it collapse, and then move on to something else, I suppose. But the something else is not there. So we're confronted with a situation right now, particularly in the individual marketplace in Virginia, where we have a lot of people very dependent on that marketplace, close to 400,000. And the numbers actually, in spite of some of the disincentives that were offered at the federal level, have held fairly stable. But we're at a point now where I think there's going to be some sticker shock out in the marketplace as the new rate adjustments are announced. So that was something we wanted to do. Senator Barker, you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, just to add one thing, and working with Senator Donovan, we talked also about bringing in the Commerce and Labor Committees as part of this discussion, because they would be dealing with some of these issues legislatively. So I have talked briefly with Senator Wagner on that. So
okay, so we'll be doing that. Then we had a good conversation about the need for something more substantive in terms of oversight in the area of our health care delivery system in the Commonwealth. We have a Joint Commission on Health Care. We had a suggestion from Senator Donovan that we, and Senator Newman engaged in that conversation quite a bit, that we needed to spend more money on oversight, a significant amount of additional money, whether we do it through the Joint Commission on Health Care or whether we create some additional entity under the purview of JLARC, where we make sure that we have significant oversight and connection to legislative oversight from that group. Anybody want to add anything to that?
I think the chairman of JLARC will take that under consideration.
Okay. Right. We have a new chairman of JLARC, right? Yeah, very good, very good. All right, moving on down then to the next item here. I had, excuse me here, Mr. Chairman. I'll just hit the highlights here so I won't consume too much of the time. Senator Barker had one on, and I will tell you that many of you all had asked, and Senator Norman and I have authorized staff to put these spreadsheets they're working off out on our site. So they're out there now? Okay, so somebody's hit the switch already, and anybody who has the technical savvy to do it, you can go look at them right now. They're out there. Senator Barker had one on the CSA. use of evidence-based services and trauma-informed care. This actually was a conversation we were having in conference, as many of these items are, and we agreed to that. The only concern that we had, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We've had an ongoing study over the last couple of years to try to figure out how to contain costs within the CSA program while we don't compromise any potential quality in that program. And our staff members, Mike Tweedy on our side and Susan Massett on the House side, have been a part of that, working for it. And some of you all have been a part of that as well. So at any rate, that language we basically are endorsing, and we'll try to put something in the budget to further that. We also talked about the pilot program, the LARC program, and it's a consensus of our subcommittee that it's an important product that we do want to fund from TANF funds, and we'd basically come to that consensus in conference. There may be a little bit of tweaking we need to do on that. This obviously is an issue where there's a lot of merit, a lot can be gained in terms of eliminating unintended pregnancies, and so we hope to have language in the budget that will focus in on that in an appropriate manner. The Senator Howe, we reviewed an amendment that she had, a proposed amendment dealing with the work requirement that the House proposed primarily, and we do, and of course we have not on the Senate side advanced any language for Medicaid expansion beyond a floor proposal, but we obviously are very seriously trying to put something together, and some of our members, I would be included in that, want to make sure that our work requirement is a hands up, where we basically screen people and assist them in if they are capable of improving their lot in life, and eventually, hopefully, working out of the possibility where they would need to be the beneficiaries of not only Medicaid, but TANF, SNAP, all those programs which we hope to coordinate. So that's something that we will try to work out in language. The, let's see here, Senator Carrico has isolated a situation. It came to him in his district in Southwest Virginia as far as some disconnects in data, which was causing some snafus in our managed care system where providers were not being paid in a timely manner. And so we're going to put some language in, or at least have that on the table for discussion with DMAS as far as how we can connect the dots on that and make sure that we are handling our data appropriately. Sir Carrico, you got anything to add on that now? Or?
No, I think talking with DMAS, they understand the issue and going to work with us to try to clarify, get some of this cleared up.
All right. Senator Reeves also had a proposed amendment, which kind of goes along with our presentation yesterday, where there were questions that were being raised, particularly by Senator Stewart and maybe Senator McDougal, and Mike Tweedy had basically indicated to us that hard and fast caps are probably not permitted, but you can work out some types of goals and targets that can help us to control the growth if we put in place strategies to achieve those targets and goals. So that was the essence of Senator Reeves' proposed amendment, and we are going to try to figure out a way to manage that as we working with our current system, and of course even more relevant if we expand our system. Senator Donovan also had an amendment that kind of dovetailed with Senator Carrico's as far as modernization of the eligibility system that we're currently working with. Senator Donovan, do you want to speak to that at all?
No, sir. I think that sums it up. We just want to make sure it's working right and working for the future.
Senator Mason had an amendment which we had actually already adopted in our current budget, and it was in conference, and I think the House was going to be receptive to it, of allocating some surplus land to a startup entity, a nonprofit that wanted to provide behavioral treatment on surplus land at the campus of Eastern State. So it's a matter of working out the appropriate amount of acreage that we would propose to transfer there. Senator Norman, do you have anything to add on that? That was your amendment as well. Okay. And then Senator Barker wanted to increase the hospital reimbursement from the provider assessment. And that's one of the issues that's on the table with provider assessment. You want to expand on that?
Sure, just briefly. This would be separate from the Medicaid expansion provider assessment that's proposed and would be used specifically for the payment rates to hospitals, and would be, the hospitals would be assuming the state share of that funding. And it would take them from right now, on base funding, they're getting about 70 or 71% of, the reimbursement rate's about 70 or 71% of cost. This would take it up to 88% of cost. There are some other things that would be, that hospitals do receive, the dish payments and those types of things that are in addition to that. Some hospitals receive, but not all hospitals receive.
Okay. And the Senator Howe had offered an amendment which actually strikes at the heart of some of the conversation that we're having in conference between the House and Senate, where at least the appearance is there that the provider assessment was put in place to fund a lot of other general fund responsibilities. And this was targeted at making sure, if in fact we use provider assessment, that remain as much as possible in the healthcare delivery system. Is that, Senator Howe, you want to expand on that? Or that's it? Yeah, okay. And I think, Mike, did I hit most of them? Got them all? Okay. Mr. Chairman, that's basically a wrap-up of where we are. A number of items that we're going to continue to discuss, and perhaps we'll produce some specific amendments to be included at some point in our budget.
Senator Hanger, thank you and the HHR subcommittee for meeting this morning and considering the various members' proposals. Does any member of the Finance Committee have any questions of Senator Hanger or other members of the HHR committee? If not, ladies and gentlemen, we are scheduled to come back on Tuesday, at which time the Senate will reconvene, and I expect that the Senate Finance Committee will probably need to meet earlier that day. I would say to each of the subcommittee chairs that there are a variety of member amendments that have been offered on those spreadsheets. Senator Hanger has just highlighted those that either directly or ancillary to HHR issues, and his subcommittee has considered it. I would say to the other subcommittee chairs, if in fact you are aware that there are issues in the members' amendments that fall within the purview of your subcommittee, if you would please be sure to meet, if you think it is necessary, prior to us convening the Senate next Tuesday. I think that that would be very important. So I would offer that charge to the subcommittee chairs. With that, I would say, Senator Newman.
I have a request, sir. Would it be possible for the Public Education Subcommittee of Education to meet immediately upon adjournment here? I know there are some well-intentioned items. I doubt if we're going to do them, but I think we could go ahead and have that discussion sooner rather than later, and move our way through that pretty quickly, sir, if that would be okay.
Well, I would say, Senator Newman, if you're convening in the corner, I would expect they would be handled with great dispatch.
We go sit here
On that. So Senator Newman, as the chairman of the Education Subcommittee that focuses on K-12, has asked for your participation. Any other subcommittee chairs, I would invite you to do so. With that, is there anything else to come before the Senate Finance Committee at this point? Jason, or you have anything? Madam? Okay. I would say to the members of the Finance Committee, as well as interested groups out in the audience that if you have any specific questions, that staff is available to have a conversation with you. I want to thank the entire Senate Finance staff for the work that you have done up to this point. I know that you feel like you're starting and restarting on a number of occasions, but the entire committee, as well as the Senate, appreciates what you have done, and thank you all very much. If there are no other matters, the Senate Finance Committee will rise, and look forward to seeing all of you next Tuesday, if not before, and the Education Subcommittee will begin its prolonged deliberations in the corner to my left.